Hi everyone, welcome to MGID Talks India. We are back with a new and interesting topic on a category which has become the leading sector for growth, that is EdTech. We shall be discussing today how online EdTech model complements the traditional method of teaching. With our special guest, Ms. Paridhi Khaitan, Managing Director at ProTeen. Paridhi heads the ProTeen business with a focus on its global product vision, go-to-market strategy, and B2C and B2B2C revenue channels. She has a decade of experience spanning into software product development, marketing, and strategy across diverse sectors like information technology, manufacturing, automotive, and retail. Before joining ProTeen, Paridhi worked with global organizations like Infosys and Cummins. Hi, Paridhi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thanks for the beautiful introduction. Happy to be here.
So, Paridhi, before we go with the topic, could you please tell us something about ProTeen?
Yeah, definitely. So, Pankaj, ProTeen is a career guidance platform meant for the students in the age group of 13 to 23. So what we have seen is that if you look at a 13-year student studying in 8th standard, if they start having a lot of confusion in terms of what stream to go for, what subject to go for, what college, what course, then what kind of profession, what kind of job role. So there are multiple confusions at different stages of their entire academic and career journey where they really don't know what they should be doing. And the way that they are solving their problem is, if you're good in academics, they're choosing a particular subject, or they're reaching out to their parents, they're reaching out to their peers, they're reaching out to their relatives who are equally unaware about the career opportunities and how to really guide the students. So we wanted to build like a digital platform which can be accessible to all the students literally on their palm, through their phones, through their laptops, through their desktops, and being able to identify what their core strengths and interests are. And on the basis of that, they take a decision, which is basically like an informed academic and career decision that they're eventually taking. So this is something that we built through technology, and we wanted to kind of take it to these students in this particular age group.
Yeah, it's such an innovative offering for students, which can guide them for their right career goals. And because during our time we didn't have this kind of facilities, and today kids is being more called as digital natives because they don't read through books, but they are just on the tablets and the mobile phones, and that's where they consume a lot of content, and that's where they learn. So going back, if you also look at the edtech as an industry, it has grown significantly during the last 2 years due to the pandemic, and educational opportunities have been greatly expanded, including a wide range of learning styles and career alternatives. So technology has driven how information is delivered and used since the advent of movable type of digital solutions of today, as you mentioned previously. And the Indian AdTech ecosystem had a lot of potential, has a lot of potential for innovation, with so many startups coming up, and a current valuation of around $700 million. The market is geared for the exponential growth, and it is estimated that in the next 10 years it will reach around $30 billion. So to start off with, let's try to understand how is technology innovation disrupting the ad tech space.
Okay, so I think EdTech has had a dramatic kind of a change in the last 2 years. And having said that, it's not that the EdTech has started in the last 2 years. EdTech has been there for the last, I think, 7 to 8 years. And there are companies who have been trying to use technology to impart learning, to impart education. But the kind of shift that we have seen in the last 2 years, thanks to pandemic, and because of that, a lot of other things have happened because of the government initiatives have also come into the picture. And what we would have seen EdTech grow or mature probably in 10 years has happened in the last, I think, not even just 2 years. I think in the first year of pandemic, it happened, that amount of shift. And it has been great because through this, I think what we have seen has happened is the geographical boundaries have really collapsed. A person, a student sitting in probably a tier 3 city is able to get the same kind of education, the same kind of learning, which are probably a Delhi or a Bombay student is getting, right? The geographical boundaries has kind of completely gone down. You can learn at any place, at any time, and in your own pace. So, which I call which I call this thing as a personalization of education as well. So you don't have to go in a particular set of processes. You can actually learn the way you want to learn. So the geographical boundary and the personalization has really, really taken the technology to a completely next level. And having said that, really commendable about the government as well, that they are doing a lot of initiatives. I keep taking an example that 2 years back, or almost around 2.5 years back, I reached out to a company and they were like, we are dealing with students in tier 2, tier 3 cities. They don't even have access to mobile phones or tablets or laptops. Can we do something on a paper pen based thing? And we are not really ready for a digital kind of a platform. And 1 year later, when this entire pandemic started, so in 2020, they only reached out to us saying that, can we have this digital platform? Because government is also helping us support with the laptops or with the phones to these students as well. So that has been a dramatic shift when it comes to education. We've been able to reach every single student with the same quality of education for all. Yeah.
Yeah. So in fact, education institutes, you call it as schools or college or universities, India, were only based on the traditional methods of learning. And they follow the traditional set of face-to-face lectures in a classroom. Although many academic units have also started blending learning, still a lot of them were stuck with the old procedures. And the sudden outbreak of deadly disease, led to a lot of people adopting to the new age of, teaching, which is on the online mode. And I'm sure the infrastructure has also been developed in such a way, and it has helped a lot of students, overall. So you mentioned a few shift which was observed during this last 2 years. Can you just highlight some of the major shift that we observed in the education since it moved online offline?
Yeah.
Some key highlights, yeah.
Yeah, so some of the things which I think I picked on few of the things, but then there are other points also which I wanted to kind of highlight. One is, as I mentioned, there are no physical boundaries. You don't have to be in a certain place to get any kind of teaching. We have seen that a student sitting in, let's say, kind of a Haridwar is getting, taught by taught by teachers who are sitting in Delhi, but giving you the entire certification or a degree or a diploma of some US university. Like literally that has, it kind of, the globalization has happened when it comes to EdTech. You don't have to be in a certain place to get some kind of knowledge. So you can sit out of anywhere. A lot of other things, and it happens to, the languages is also come into this picture. Like you can learn not just in a Hindi or an English, you can learn in your regional languages as well. So that is another level of personalization that has happened when it comes to education, right? You can learn sitting at home at night or in the morning, whenever you feel like. You can take breaks. You don't have to be in a classroom kind of a setup where everybody is taught in the same manner, and either you learn or you lag behind. You don't have a choice of being on your own and being able to learn in your own pace. So that kind of personalization from a language perspective, from a pace perspective, is what has happened. Another key thing that we see happening in the edtech industry is the gamification part as well. So I think gamification has really, it has just started in the field of education, but I think it's going to grow to a tremendous level. And with gamification, what is happening is people are, it's fun, engaging way of learning for a student as well. And it's a two-way learning. It's not somebody telling you something and you're just trying to grasp. You're actually getting involved in the entire process. And it becomes like a two-way kind of a learning. It's more fun, it's more engaging. It also gives you more of a practical side to the theoretical knowledge. So you're not just understanding a theory, but you're trying to implement it in a certain way to kind of, and in a gamified and a fun way, to be able to really understand the value of any topic or any subject that we are actually learning. So these are key things. Lack of geographical boundaries, personalization, and the gamification, I think, which is just kind of beginning to start, I think.
So since you mentioned about gamification, and as a kid, I also loved playing a lot of games, and we used to also say that we learn a lot of things while we play, also, or while we are engaged. So can you tell me how important is the role of gamification in teaching?
Yeah, so I think a lot of things happen. I will talk about teaching as well. Let me also kind of give you a glimpse of how we do gamification and career counseling as well. So in teaching, as I mentioned, you're not just telling somebody, like imagine a classroom of 50 students and a teacher, one teacher sitting out there or standing, whatever, and they're just talking about a particular topic. And what are the students doing? They're just listening, they're taking notes, and that's it. Probably out of 50 students, there'll be five, like the toppers and all, who'd be asking questions and then engaging in a conversation. But if you look at the rest of the 45 students, it's done. I mean, they're probably waiting to go home, play. They're not really learning anything at all as part of this entire kind of setup. But through gamification, every single student can get involved. Okay, and when you learn, but when you try to implement something, I have seen that I have never really learned a lot when I was just listening to a teacher. Only when I started, like probably doing some sums or some questions, or really doing something about it, or giving like a practical exam, is when you learned the maximum. So that is something that a gamification can bring to the everyday learning. You don't have to wait for a practical exam. You can actually do gamification to learn on a day-to-day basis as well. So that is when it comes to teaching. From career counseling, what we are also trying to do is, for example, apart from rest of the things, tells you about you should become a scientist, or you should become an engineer, or you should become, let's say, a musician. We have a very different idea of what an engineer means or what a musician means. We think, oh, musician every day just needs to just play music, that's such a cool life. Or engineering, I used to think that engineering meant mechanic for a very, very long time. I was like, why do people even aspire to become engineers? So imagine they don't have much of knowledge about different careers also available. So through gamification, we are giving them much more glimpse about that career, where they can get a little more engaged as well. They can do activities, they can do role plays, they can do tasks and all related to a particular career, so that they actually understand what that particular career really means before actually taking a jump into it. So this kind of gives you a little broader picture, little real life application, a little demo of how these things will be implemented in real life, and that's how your learning becomes more enhanced as well.
So, what are the upcoming trends in career counseling? If you can just shed more light on it.
So with career counseling, what has happened? So career counseling is not really, it's not a new word or a concept that we are hearing for the first time. It's been there for a really, really long time. But what we have seen is one individual career counselor sitting out there who somebody is reaching out to. And if you look at the accessibility, that has been really low. Students and parents have been reaching out to career counselors only when they are in extreme problem, when they don't
Mhm.
understand what the child is supposed to do, or is really poor in studies, is when they actually reach out to a career counselor as well. And if you look at the numbers of the lack of career counselors in India, we still need 15 lakh career counselors to cater to the student population in this country. And when I talk about these career counselors who are also there, they are not using any scientific method of career counseling. They are counseling on the basis of their own experience. So I give this example to everyone. There was this one person who I met who's been into education industry for almost around 15 years, and he started doing career counseling because he was connected with the students and students started reaching out to him, but he had no really like a background of career counseling. And he's like, 2 years back, I was really fond of organic farming. So whoever used to come to me, I used to suggest organic farming to them. That's how biased career counseling can become if you don't really use a scientifically backed technology or any kind of theories or validated theories as well. So this is something that we saw, that technology or science is not being used in career counseling. If I'm going to an X counselor, if I'm going to a Y counselor, the recommendations can be completely different based on their own knowledge, not because of I have changed, but because they have their own level of understanding and knowledge and biases or whatever exposure, they will guide me in a different manner. So what I see happening in the world of career counseling right now is a science-backed career counseling. When I say science-backed, there are validated theories that have been used for like decades in the world of education and counseling. And using those theories, when I say theories, these are kind of psychometric assessments, multiple assessments, not just using one parameter when it comes to science, but having 4 different parameters. So we use interest, personality, aptitude, multiple intelligence. So don't guide the student based on just one thing. Understanding the holistic angle of the student, using validated theories, and actually getting to understand the student in a much more scientific manner, so that an X person or a Y person will have the same kind of recommendations as well. So that's one thing that I see, that the science backed part. The second thing, which I kind of briefly touched upon, is what I call as like a career demo, right? So basically, this is to give them a glimpse of what that career is going to be like, right? So don't jump into a particular career. Really understand what a career will truly mean. We think that a teacher, for example, means they just need to come and teach the students. No, there are so many other things that they're supposed to do on a day-to-day basis. Understanding how the workplace environment is going to be like, whether it's going to be a desk job, non-desk job, whether it's going to be a traveling job, what are the skills required, what are the pros and cons, what are the salaries that you can expect. Do you think that particular career is going to be existing after 10 years because of the AI and because of the technology coming in? So really understanding more about that career. So it's not just that, a career counselor told you that you should become an astronaut and you're like, okay, now I'm done, my life is sorted. You need to understand what to expect out of that career also, to be able to jump into that particular career. And of
Well
course,
said.
how
Yeah.
how I see gamification disrupting EdTech. I see gamification disrupting career guidance industry as well, to make it little more experiential, little more engaging and fun before you actually make a jump into getting a particular career as well.
Yeah.
So these are key
So,
points.
yeah. So, if you see, there are still, larger set of audiences which still prefers that the traditional education methods. How do you plan to change the perception, and how do you plan your marketing activities in order to reach out to these kind of audiences?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Pankaj, for asking this question. Um, You're completely right. And in my opinion, I don't see either online or offline existing in isolation. Okay. I think last 2 years have been extremely good to at least get the digital environment seep into everybody's life. Now, every single household is very much comfortable of using any kind of a digital device to do their literally everything, to learning, to from a job perspective, to working out of home as well. So I think the digitalization has now happened, but I don't see this replacing the offline or the traditional teaching model. There is something an offline model brings to the table, is that community getting together, teamwork, or communication, or kind of peer-to-peer learning. All these things cannot really happen on a digital platform. And these are things that can only happen through online and ultimately through offline. And ultimately, what I see is an online model complementing the offline or the traditional model, and having like a hybrid or a blended approach. There are things which an offline model can do, but an online can't. And there are things that an online model can do, but an offline can't. So that peer-to-peer learning, the teamwork, the all these things can only happen through a traditional model. And the other part, the personalization part, being in your own space, is something that can happen through an online. So what I see is a complementary or a hybrid model eventually kind of coming together. I also call this like a high tech, high touch model, where there's technology also at the highest peak, but at the same point, the human touch is also at their highest peak and kind of coming together. Um, Coming from a protein point of view, we saw this. Okay, so initially we started this company as a purely digital platform, but then we realized that yes, there are certain things which technology is the only way of doing it. Your assessment, your storing of 2000 plus careers, their details, is not possible in a human's mind. So that is only possible to do it on a digital platform. But at the same time, that one-on-one interaction that happens with a counselor can't be done by a computer or a technology or a bot that you can't replace. It's as simple as you have like a blood report, but you still need to talk to a doctor face to face, one-on-one, to be able to kind of get your queries answered, or if you have any doubts, if you really need to plan anything. So eventually we developed, and in the last, I think, 1.5 years, we have developed this into an hybrid model, where I would say that the 90% of the work is getting done by the platform, where the assessment is happening, the results and the information that is available. But the last 10% of that human touch or that connectivity is the one-on-one, kind of a discussion between the student or a parent with the counselor. And for that, what we have done is basically we have our technology, we have a platform, but we are opening a network of career centers across the country. So probably by, I think, end of February, we will have approximately around 15 career centers in different parts of the country, where there will be a career counselor who will be sitting, who we will be training, and they will be using the protein technology and guiding the students. So this way we are kind of bringing both the models together, and which is what I see in the entire education industry also happening. Not one thing is going to suffice, it has to be like a blended approach.
Yeah, that's right. And we also wanted to understand that how do you market to those things? What are the marketing activities, or how do you reach out to your target audiences? Because getting these kind of audiences is very difficult
Yeah.
on the digital as well as in the offline model. So how you go about plan your marketing?
Yeah, so I think we've got a mix of our digital marketing and offline and on-ground marketing as well. But we mainly, if you look at the target audience, ultimately the users are our students, and of course their parents are also part of it. But we are using three different kind of channels to reach out to these people as well. So one is to directly reach out to them. So anybody can come onto our platform, they can go to the website, they can sign in, and they can just start going through the entire experience altogether, from information to recommendations to assessment. So they can go through the process anytime. So they just have to go to the website and they can start doing. So that's one direct channel. And through that, and through to kind of reach to the direct channel, are most of the efforts are through the digital marketing efforts, because this is, we want them to come to the website and kind of log in. So these are the digital marketing. And for digital marketing, we are of course focusing, our primary, I think, channel becomes the Google AdWords, so to say, because you get a lot of people, we get a lot of students, even with the limited amount of marketing that we are doing through Google AdWords. We get on a daily basis so many people saying that I'm really confused. Can you tell me what to do? Or I'm in 12th. I don't know. My parents are saying this, but I don't want to do this. So we keep getting so many inquiries on a regular basis. So digital marketing, when it comes, Google AdWords is primary. Apart from that, of course, we do social media. So our Instagram becomes the main channel to reach to the students, and Facebook and LinkedIn becomes more of a channel to reach out to the parents, or I would say, let's say, from a B2B angle as well, which I talk about.
Mhm.
But social media, I would say from a student perspective, Instagram and now YouTube as well, which we have just recently started concentrating on. So these are the primary social media channels. Another interesting thing that we have recently started is a series of webinar, which we call as like Shikshit Shanivar. So every month on one of the Saturdays, preferably on the third of the Saturday, we do a webinar which is related to the field of education or career counseling as well. So this Shikshit Shanivar. So right now, couple of them have been related to how you need to awareness about yourself in career development, or the importance of understanding the career landscape, or overcoming exam anxiety. And we also plan to have these guest speakers as part of this Shikshit Shanivar series as well, where we are planning to call a lot of these mentors from different industries, talking about how a career in marketing would feel like, or a career in kind of astronomy looks like. So like that, we need to start, we are doing the Shikshit Shanivar webinar series. And apart from that, of course, we do email campaigns, we do a lot of these blogs to reach out to these students as well. So that's one way. The other two basically methods are our B2B2C methods. So we are also partnering directly with schools and colleges across the country. So through partnering with these schools and colleges, ultimately that school will introduce ProTeen to their entire, kind of students and their parents as well. So that's another way to, that's purely like a sales effort which we are doing to kind of reach out to these schools and colleges. And of course, then I talked about the career centers. So we have these career centers in tier 2, tier 3 cities, literally like in Srinagar, we have, in Indapur, Nagpur, Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, a lot of these different places as well. So here, what we are doing is little bit of offline on-ground marketing activities as well. So little bit of hoarding, some sort of, kind of newspaper ads, or, little pamphlets to drive walk-ins to these centers as well. So there we are focusing on a lot on little bit of on-ground activities as well. So these are our channels and the way that we are trying to reach out to these people through marketing.
That's quite interesting. And, if you talk about marketing, you have your traditional way of marketing. There is an local marketing is also being done by pamphlets and by, digital marketing. So, it's all like very insightful for us also to understand that, how about you go about, marketing for B2B to B2C. So, thank you, Paridhi, for joining us here and coming on MGID Talks Live. It was really, good to understand from you that how you are go about of launching career counseling, and you will be launching new products as well in the near future. So wish you all the best, and
thank you. Thank you so much, Pankaj. Thank you for having me here. It was really my pleasure.